Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me? All right. Everyone hear me in the back? Does anyone not want to hear me? Okay. I'm blaming. Okay. We'll go ahead and get the meeting started. I'm going to need the slides up here, if possible. Okay. Yep. Go ahead. Okay, so I want to first of all thank everyone for being here today. When you came in and registered, hopefully you got a ticket stub for a raffle for a Kroger gift card. If you did not get a raffle ticket when you came in, please go back there to the table, the sign-in table, and they'll give you one. Please don't go, if you already have one, don't go get a second one, but whatever. Okay, anyone here, is this their first meeting? You got one in the back? Okay, well thank you for being here today, we appreciate it. We hope you show up for many more. Also, being tomorrow's Mother's Day, so I also want to thank all the mothers here in the crowd today for the wonderful job they do as being mothers. So, let's go ahead. The agenda for today is pretty much what we have done in the past. We're going to start with a few announcements, the Pledge of Allegiance, moment of silence, and then we'll move on to the officers' reports. Follow that, we do have a guest speaker today, so we're going to leave plenty of time for him to speak. That will be followed by questions and answers, and at least for questions, hopefully we'll have the answers, but we're going to at least accept questions. But if we don't have the answer, we'll work on getting it for you if we can. And then finally, we'll adjourn because it is a beautiful day out there, so we want to get home and enjoy some of this. So anyway, let's go ahead. So the first thing we want to do is, let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. So we all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next one. Next, I'd just like to take a moment to reflect upon the members who are no longer with us. As I said, we being a retirement association, it's unfortunately, but some of us are getting old, so, but I do want to take a moment just to remember those who have gone on to their final resting place. So. All right, thank you. Next, I just want to take a brief moment to remind everyone exactly what CMERA does, at least we try fervently to do. Basically, it's to enhance the quality of life for all retired members of the Cincinnati retirement system. And we do this by trying to perform, first of all, we advocate for the interest of retirees. If there's some matter that's up there, be it, like some of us wrote to our Congress people and senators when the Social Security Act was being debated in Congress last year. We had a number of people who wrote in. My congressman told me where to go, but that's another issue. But the other thing we do is we offer information and sometimes services. We do have a notary public in the crowd today who's willing to, if by chance you have any documents that need to be notarized, just let Mary Foot's back there, but if you need her, just contact her. Raise your hand, Mary, so we can. Okay, there's Mary. She's up here. So anyway, contact her. She'll be glad to notarize any documents free of charge. So we thank you for that service. The other thing we do, we monitor the collaborative settlement agreement. That's the legal relationship between the retirees and the city of Cincinnati. We try to make sure that at least the city is following those guidelines that are set up in that mandate. And when we see something that could affect that, we try to get involved and remind people from our vantage point what council should be doing. Not that they always listen, but so forth. So, we also partner with stakeholders to ensure the financial and long-term stability of the Cincinnati retirement system. So those are the things that we do. And how we do that. We have a lot of volunteers. None of us get paid or reimbursed for any of our expenses, except for I do get, like you, I get a free donut when I show up. But I don't drink coffee, so what the heck. But we're controlled by a governing board. Now, control is an interesting word but we do have a governing board that consists of two major groups. One is the officers. The CMERA officers, some are elected, go ahead, such as myself, Chuck Cullen. The other elected officers here are, I think I see Kathy Ratz is there. Steve is hiding. Okay, Steve is over there. It's Jane. Oh, she's in the back. Okay, thank you, Jane. Hi, Jane. How's that? Fourscore and 7 years ago, our forefathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in great civil war, testing whether that nation. Okay, got it. Well, don't get it too close. I don't want them to fall asleep.
That way we'll minimize the feedback too.
Oh, okay. How are we doing? We're better? Good. Thanks for letting me know, Ann. Okay, but we also have Tom Gamble here, who's appointed. He's one of the past presidents of our organization. Next slide. We'll move on to the, we also have directors and associate directors. I think two of the directors are here. I know John is here, Mark Jones is here. Where's John at? Is he back with more donuts? Yeah, I guess that's where he is. But John is, and so both of the directors are here. The associate directors, we have a number of them. I saw Michelle. Where's Michelle? There's Michelle. Okay. Ann, who just reminded me about the Barb Laxton, who was, she's still at the table. Okay. And Barry Molman, those are the, I don't know, Barry is, no one's seen Barry, okay. But those are the directors, and we all, work together and strive to keep CMERA as vibrant as possible and interesting so that, you guys will keep coming to the meetings and, of course, keep paying the dues. Next. Finally, and probably most important, is the small army of volunteers that we get to do various jobs. Where's Don? Don Hutchins is there. He's the database supreme commander who maintains our records and so forth. He also helps with deposits, and so we thank Don for all his hard work. We have the volunteers who are working at the front desk this morning. And of course, we also have a number of members who, like during the budget hearings, some of our members showed up to make presentations to council to remind them of their obligations of the collaborative agreement so that they keep that in mind when they make their budget decisions. The budget, by the way, should be coming out in draft form another week or two before it goes back to council for more debates, but so we'll be watching that as well. Okay, next. Am I hearing a little echo, or is that not? Nope. Okay. They say the hearing's the second thing to go, so. As far as the president's report, I just want to, first thing I just want to mention is my work this year has been focusing on two things, I guess, money and membership. I guess that's that's the best way to describe it. We had a meeting, the executive committee met with John Solstrom from the retirement director earlier this year to kind of go over what his office is doing in relations to retirees. I made a budget presentation myself. And the other thing that we've been doing is monitoring the council agendas for anything related to the collaborative settlement agreement. Right now, there's, as I said, we're just kind of waiting for the budget to come out and see what it has to say. We're always interested to know how much the city is setting aside for the budget, or for the pension fund, I should say. The second goal that we have this year is increasing the active membership. First thing I did earlier this year is take a look at, I took like 14 years of data to look at how many members paying, how the membership is going, both the particularly the active membership, looking at the donations, which have gone up significantly in the last couple of years, and we thank you for that. Second thing we've been trying to do is to keep the website current. I at least once a month I get on the website. Now, websites, you understand, is not my. It's a different age, but as I think Don mentioned to me, if I need to know anything about websites, ask your grandchildren. So that's what I've been doing. But I try to keep it current, try to keep the information in there as pertinent as possible. At least once a month, I post something called the CMERA Chronicles, which is on the website, and you can certainly read it. It's not always interesting, but it gives you a different perspective that comes from my brain, which is sometimes troubled. The other thing we're doing is seeking ways to encourage new members to become active in CMERA. So we have a pretty good crowd today. There's a few more than we normally get, and I appreciate seeing that. So, okay, go ahead next. I mentioned about the website, and we have looked at it, and we're starting to explore ways to make it more user-friendly. Apparently websites, I guess they get old too. Only they get older a lot sooner than people do. So we're looking at ways to refresh that. If you have any suggestions or ideas for the website, please feel free to contact us. So we're just starting this process. It's going to take us a long time because none of us are experts on that, but we will be checking with our grandchildren, and we'll be learning as much as we can. Final thing I just want to mention, I guess in my report, go ahead. Yep, wrong way. There you go. And so I think John may touch on this too, but the city did come out last year, about a year or so ago, with something called Members Direct, which I found very useful to look up information concerning your retirement account. It has all types of, information about you, about your benefits, when you retire, health care, provisions, anything you might want to know. You can get your pay. What do they call it? They call it advance. No, it's not a pay stub anymore. I forget the term. But anyway, if you want to add the most useful thing I found is that you can get your W-2 or W2. Yeah, that's whatever it is we get for the. But in order to fill out your income tax, normally city traditionally would send it out about the last day of February or so. Now you can get it much earlier. And once it's announced, you can go online and download it there, and you already have it. So it'll save you a couple weeks. You'll get your refund faster. Hopefully you'll get a refund. Okay. All right, I'm going to turn it over now to the Vice President, Steve. Oh, Kathy? Yeah, the mind is going. So, and anyway, so if you do have any questions, again, we'll have a question and answer period towards the end. So I appreciate if you can hold any questions until then. We'll be glad to answer to the best of our ability. All right, Kathy.
It's way too high. I need a step stool. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming today. It's great to see everybody. I'm Kathy Rotz. I am Vice President now. I also just want to take 1 second to thank John Sahlstrom, who's the Retirement Department Director, for coming today. And he's going to have a great presentation for us in a little bit. So I don't have a whole lot of stuff to talk about today, so I won't be talking too long. You're welcome. Tim, if I could have the first slide, please. Thanks, not that one. Yeah, there we go. So first thing I want to talk about is CMERA elections. You may remember that we have elections every year, and they come in the fall. I want to remind you or throw that out there, jog your thinking about it now, though. Just a little bit by way of background, so we serve 2-year terms. Chuck went over the 4 offices, the 4 officers. So we serve 2-year terms and we stagger those terms, so there is an election every year for 2 of the 4 members. So this year, 2025, the president and the treasurer will be subject to election/re-election. We invite nominations. You can nominate yourself, you can nominate somebody else. In order to serve as an officer of CMERA, you need to be an active CMERA member. And by that I mean you have to have signed up for CMERA and you have to be current on your dues. So just keep that in mind. We normally, again, conduct the election in the fall. We ask if you are interested in nominating someone or nominating yourself, that you do so by the middle of summer. It'll be a little bit of a change this year. We are going to include ballots with the newsletter in the fall. And so in order to be prepared for that, believe it or not, in July is when we actually start working on the fall newsletter. So we do need to know maybe a little bit earlier if you're interested. And again, the election, as always, will be held at the fall meeting. So please consider, as Chuck said, we need new blood, new people, and please consider serving. I will say, just from my personal experience, it's been really fulfilling. It's a lot of fun, and you really get to meet a lot of cool people, a lot of people that I didn't know, having worked for the city for 34 years. So, next slide, please. And this is the other thing I want to talk about, and guess what? It's about an election again. This one is not happening this year. This is for the election for one of the retiree positions on the board, the retirement board, the board of trustees, will be coming up a year from now. But I want to just lay it out there, plant the seed. Historically, in the last several elections for retiree slots, they've been uncontested elections. So typically there's one person, or what has happened is that one person has been interested in one slot. Again, this is fine as long as we find somebody to serve, but it's not ideal. And it would be welcome if we could generate more interest from more people who haven't served previously. So that's why we're bringing that up now. Just as a reminder, the board consists of 9 people, 9 trustees, and 3 of them are retiree trustees. 2 people are active employees, are still working, and 4 people are appointed by the mayor. So obviously we're looking to spark some interest in anyone who might be interested in serving. One of the positions is open. These positions, again, are staggered, so there's one retiree position that will be open next year. Please think about it. Please talk to people who you think might be interested or who you think might make a great candidate. I will say too, you don't have to have a finance major or such, be CPA, but it helps, but it would help. But there's comprehensive orientation, a comprehensive or ongoing education that's encouraged and supported by the board. That wasn't always the case, by the way. So I can't not thank Bill Moeller and Tom Gamble for really promoting that and making that happen, and creating a program where trustees are supported in their learning process. And I think that's pretty much all I have to say. I think next on the agenda is for Steve Dietrich, our treasurer, to give his report. Again, questions and answers at the end of the session.
Thanks, Kathy. And I also want to thank John for giving up his beautiful Saturday morning to come here. And he's also got to go from here to a lacrosse game. So, yeah, that's really nice of you to do that for us. The treasurer's report. My report today is basically going to be what we're doing to try and control our expenses. One of our biggest items of expense is mailing. That newsletter that you just received in the mail, the postage for that is almost $700 to mail those out. We're investigating applying for a nonprofit postal rate, which could probably save us 20 or 30% of that. Another thing that we can do, you'll notice when you get your newsletter, it's nice and flat. If we fold it once, we can save like another 12 cents. I don't think people would really care whether it's folded or not when they get it, but we are looking at that. We're also, another big expense item for us is our insurance cost. Again, we've been looking at if there's anything that we can do to minimize any increases, and it looks like we did pretty good this year with that. We also did our own income taxes this year, both, even though we're a nonprofit, you have to file an IRS tax return, and you also have to file a financial report with the state of Ohio, which we did. And we've paid between $200 and $800 a year for having our taxes done in the past. We also joined an organization for nonprofits, 501c3s and such, that gets you discounts on certain things. We have a Zoom subscription because some of our meetings that we have with the board are remote, and we've been able to save like 50% on that. In October, I'll be doing more of a financial review because right now we don't have a lot of our expenses and it's too early in the year. By the October meeting, we pretty much know where we are expense-wise. So could I have so right now the slide you have up is the Social Security Fairness Act. I thought this was something that would never happen in my lifetime. On the 5th of January, President Biden signed into law the Social Security Fairness Act of '23. This law repeals both the windfall elimination provision, called the WEP, and the government pension offset, which has been in effect for over 40 years. And if you're retired and getting Social Security, it affects you. So I just wanted to talk briefly about this. What was the effect of the WEP and the GPO? The bottom line of the WEP was it reduced your Social Security benefits. If you had employment other than the city during your career, you paid Social Security and you paid Social Security taxes for at least 10 years. When you got your Social Security, it was reduced because of the windfall elimination provision, and it was a significant reduction. Probably $300 a month seems to be about what the average. Now that the WEP is gone, Two things have happened. As of last month, your April Social Security check would most likely have increased by about that amount, about $300. And you probably have received by now in March or April the lump sum, which was the backup pay for 2024 in the first part of this year. Personally, I'm impressed that the Social Security Administration was able to pull this off in such a short period, 3 or 4 months. This is a big change. I think it affected, like, across the country, 3 or 4 million people. One just little comment is this will change your income, so don't forget to check with whoever's doing your taxes and see what the impact of this will be, because I think on the back pay check, the large check that you got, there was no taxes taken out on that. So make sure you don't get surprised in April of '26. The GPO is the government pension offset, and that affected your ability to receive a Social Security benefit and a spousal Social Security benefit and the Social Security survivor benefit. In my opinion, the significance of this repeal was kind of overlooked and downplayed by the media. It has a big impact on certain people who are retired in a certain situation. So normally, if you've been married for at least 10 years, you can receive 50% of your spouse's Social Security payment once you reach your full retirement age, whether you paid Social Security or not. However, the GPO used a complicated formula that kept many individuals who received a pension, like our CRS pension, from getting a spousal benefit. That's gone now. So if you've got a spouse that was getting Social Security or is getting Social Security, you can apply for the spousal benefit, which would be 50% of that. I have 2 friends personally that are both receiving CRS pensions, and they were not receiving a spousal benefit due to their CRS pensions. Now that the Fairness Act has passed, they are eligible for that. The one person, their husband had a very nice job, hence got a very nice Social Security check, and her spousal benefit now is $1,100 a month. I don't know about you, but that's real money in my estimation. It's a significant benefit. The Social Security survivor benefit is another thing. When the GPO was in effect, in most cases, a spouse of if a spouse of a CRS retiree died, so did their Social Security benefit. It was gone. With the repeal of the GPO, this changes. The retiree is now eligible for a spousal benefit. This allows the retiree to receive the dead spouse's benefit, Social Security benefit. Again, this could be significant. And I think our concern is that this can be complicated. It's a complicated formula that they use for that, and so this may affect you. So you may have been told by someone in the past to not even apply for a spousal or a survivor benefit because you were not entitled to that, and you weren't, but now you are. The GPO repeal changes this. So if you think that you have or you might be entitled to these benefits, or you know someone else, please call Social Security Administration. Their number's 866. It's in your newsletter. I won't bother with you now. Or speak with your financial advisor or someone who does your taxes to get some information about how it may or may not affect you. I'm sure there are many retirees that are affected by this. Thanks. And again, any questions we'll do those at the end. Thanks.
Yeah, basically I'm here to talk about the CSA, and one of the biggest problems we have with the system right now is our pension. Our pension's down to about 68% funded, I believe it is. And there's been some activity going on between the attorneys. I think I mentioned this at our last meeting that we had, that we need to be cognizant and be ready to maybe go down to City Hall and talk to members of City Council if some things do occur. The attorneys have been talking, but our side has found out about what they've been discussing, but the judge put a gag order out on us, so we can't tell you right now what's being discussed. But one thing I can tell you is our retirement board did put together a funding plan that will help the pension system come to 100% by 2046. And we've passed that on to City Council, asked them to start funding the pension system according to that. And if they're starting to take some attention to it, but the city administration, not John, but the city manager and the city solicitor's office want maybe to do something a little different. So stay tuned. As soon as I'm able to tell you what's going on, I will do so, either through newsletter or through our information system we have on the web. Thank you.
All right, I just want, yeah, we're good. I just want to introduce John Solstrom, our guest speaker for today. John is the Executive Director of the Cincinnati Retirement System. John is in the unique position of having two bosses at City Hall. The first, of course, he has to report to the city manager. Now, if that isn't bad enough, he has to report to the retirement system trustees. So he has two bosses, and I'm sure that is enough to drive anyone crazy. But anyway, but John was nice enough to agree to appear today, and so let me introduce John and let him speak a little bit about the retirement system now. Thank you, John.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you. Oops, I'm tighten that, huh? There we go. Just want to thank Chuck, Kathy, Tom, Steve. Really appreciate the invitation to come here and present. A lot of things have been mentioned already. Got some thoughts percolating, but it's a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to serve as the executive director and oversee the pension system and ensure your benefits are met timely. But I also do want to be here just to ensure transparency and an open dialogue. I truly believe in that. It is difficult having two bosses, but I will say that we have a very well-functioning board right now. I think part of that is the open transparency and just being able to communicate and ultimately ensure that we follow through in our fiduciary duty, which is to ensure your pension benefits are paid. So the objective today is really just to kind of give you a high-level state of the union for the City of Cincinnati retirement system. I think much of what I've put in some of these slides you will all know, but just kind of refresh and see if it percolates and see if it stirs any questions in you. And again, at the end, I'd be happy to answer any questions. But if we could go ahead and go to the slides now. Oops. I'll touch on that one too in a minute. But yep, just maybe one more. I think two, if you just go two more forward, but. So if you go to the next slide, so City of Cincinnati Retirement System, our mission really is to help members retire successfully. We do this to ensure the pension and healthcare benefits are met for retirees and future retirees, assist and support members in their journey to and through retirements. And again, as I mentioned, just kind of want to be transparent and held accountable for all the stakeholders as well as the retirees. As you guys are well aware, the City of Cincinnati retirement system was established in 1931. This predates Social Security. As the past speakers were talking about, this is a fairly important aspect. I think it's something that I always want to remind council members, city administration of, that as you go into retirement, many of the retirees don't receive a Social Security benefit, so it's something that needs to be front and center as people are making decisions and kind of factoring in decision making and everything. So if you want to go to the next slide. So this is just basically a snapshot of the CRS retirement system right now. 41 retirees, 44 active members. That's a healthy dynamic there. Again, you want to have more actives kind of paying into the system. So cities continue to hire over the last few years, and that dynamic shifted a little bit. So the demographics are looking fairly healthy right now. Roughly $2.3 billion in assets. The underfunded actual liability is $846 million right now. Again, seems like a big number. It is a big number. And the 68.3% funding level that Tom mentioned, again, not exactly where we want it to be, but I'll talk about this a little bit later, that it's not entirely bad news. I still would call it a fairly healthy plan, but we do have quite a bit of work to do. The healthcare trust, though, 155% funded. So again, the healthcare trust is in good shape right now, but work to be done on the pension system. If you want to go to the next slide. So Kathy mentioned this, but the governance of the plan is Board of Trustees, serve 4-year terms, 4 appointed by the mayor, 3 elected retirees, 2 active retirees, or excuse me, 2 active employees. The board has exclusive authority over the trust, and they meet each Thursday, the first Thursday of each month. Again, as an advertisement for serving as a retiree trustee. Again, a well-functioning board, it's healthy. There's good conversation, good dialogue. I mean, I don't know exactly what the time is, but maybe 10 hours a month, maybe a little bit more is the appropriate way to think about it. The meetings generally last maybe 3-4 hours. Well, maybe not 4 hours, but 3 hours. Time to digest all the material as well as conversations when you're not at the meeting. So maybe think about it 10 hours a month. But it's a good board, and welcome more active members. We always want, a good mix of continuity, people that have history, understand the city, as well as, new phases, fresh ideas. That always helps with kind of a board and making sure it stays healthy. This has been mentioned a few times, but we're governed by the Collaborative Settlement Agreement, as well as Cincinnati Municipal Code, Chapter 203, Administration Code, and then the board rules and policies. If you want to go to the next slide. I don't know if you guys can see that. I can't really see that, but that is the staff that oversees the pension benefits. So again, as great as the board is, the staff is really there to serve you, individuals in the room. I think it's a great staff. It's well functioning right now. They're there to answer your questions, whether it be about your pension benefits and/or the healthcare providers, and it's kind of what you have there is basically you have what I would call 4 sleeves. Really, you have the pension benefits, you have the healthcare, we have an IT staff, and then we have a finance staff. So that's essentially what you're looking at there is the staff of the team. But again, please feel free to always reach out, call the number, come into the office. The staff is very friendly and always trying to improve on the customer service, because it's really become apparent that that's a lot of the business that we're in is customer service for the retirees. Want to go to the next slide? So what we do as far as the operations, process new retiree applications, enroll new members, process return of contributions if needed, death benefits, help with 457 plan enrollments for active members, retiree health care, and then Medicare transition, purchase service credit agreements that we do for members. And then ultimately what we continue to try to improve on is the education and customer service for actives as well as retirees. If you want to go to the next slide. There are 6 types of retirement benefits that we ultimately pay out that the staff works with from an operations perspective, which, most important to everybody in the room is the monthly pension benefit, the health care for retirees, and then we do have a deferred retirement option plan. disability retirement benefits, survivor benefits, and again, I mentioned the 457 or deferred compensation. So we work with each of those different types of pension benefits in various ways with active and retirees. If you want to go to the next slide. So as you guys are aware, you know how the pension system works. The defined benefit is a guaranteed formulaic monthly payment to retirees that's been earned over a career. And that differs from the defined contribution in a few ways, but I think the biggest difference is the risk of managing the 401k plan or defined contribution is on the individual, where the real benefit of having a defined benefit plan is the onus is on the plan sponsor to ensure that you get your monthly benefits each month. So it takes some of the stress of managing that money out. Again, I think it's an under-recognized benefit within society, but I assume you guys are all very aware of kind of the elimination of that stress and kind of what it means. So always want to highlight that the defined benefit versus defined contribution. If you want to go to the next slide. So ultimately, how do we fund the defined benefit plan? The simple formula that you have up there is contributions, both from the city as well as the active members, plus income and capital appreciation from investments, has to equal benefits and expenses. So that's the simple formula of how we think about ensuring that we get the benefits paid each month. There's a few different things that kind of come into that. On this page right here, we're kind of highlighting the actuaries as they come into play to help us look out into the future, try to make sure that we're making the right decisions, kind of help us think about estimating what those benefits that are earned each are cost, how we fund those through contributions and investments, and then think about kind of what the experience is year in and year out. So making sure the actual experience matches what the estimates are from the actuaries. So we work with them on an annual basis to make sure we're looking forward and making the right decisions. If you want to go to the next page. On the other side of that is the investments. So the actuaries help us kind of predict the liabilities out into the future and make sure we're funding appropriately for them. The investment side of it is, how we ensure that we have a growth of that corpus and continue to grow the benefits in order to make those payments. The CRS board oversees the investment policy. Ultimately, we're looking to preserve the safety of the principal of the corpus, adopts, a prudent investor rule. We're looking really to build a robust portfolio, an all-weather portfolio, one that, can weather different types of economic scenarios to make sure we're not caught flat-footed. We'll talk about that a little bit more on the next couple slides. And then you have myself and the staff and the consultant, as we work to kind of fill the ultimate asset allocation that's set by the board in order to make those investments and build a robust portfolio. So this is the current asset allocation right now. It's very well diversified. You can see it's a healthy mix of fixed income, U.S. and non-U.S. equity, and then what I would call kind of diversifiers from those traditional public markets in areas like real estate, infrastructure, private credit, and private equity. So again, always looking to make sure we're aware of the liquidity needs of the portfolio to make those future benefit payments, but also want to have a diversified portfolio that doesn't get caught up in any kind of one economic scenario that's, can continue to distribute income to us, grow the overall size of the fund, and then make those benefit payments. If you want to go to the next slide. So just as we think about some of those investments, these are the general philosophy or statement of investment beliefs as we've incorporated them into our investment policy statement. There's many more than this, but this is just kind of some fairly high-level thoughts that we have when we think about active investing. There are certain areas in the market where we think it behooves us to pay for active management, but at the same time being mindful of the expenses that are part of that equation that we showed before. We do utilize a lot of passive investing in what we would consider very efficient markets, like the U.S. equity market, non-U.S. equity market, certain areas within fixed income. So always being mindful, we're trying to balance, if you will, the cost and expenses associated with the plan, but also wanting to pay for active management to try to generate better returns in a very diverse portfolio, as well as alternatives kind of fit into that category of just trying to get into areas of the market that can provide outsized returns that we're not overpaying for, but we want exposure to. You want to go to the next slide? So again, this is probably very difficult to read, but these are the historical returns of the portfolio versus the assumed rate of return and then the funding status on the far right, as well as the median return. I think we have 10, 5, and 1 year numbers on there. Happy to provide these slides too for you guys so you can see this a little better. But the punchline of this slide, or the point of showing this is, again, we want to build a robust portfolio that's all weather, can mitigate a lot of different economic storms, but we don't ever want to be the top performing fund in 1 year, and nor do we want to be the bottom performing fund in 1 year. The idea is to try to kind of, if you will, hit singles and doubles, kind of be in that top quartile and or second quartile, so 25 to 50%, so you're beating the majority of the other funds out there. If you do that over long periods of time, if you do that in any one calendar year, or over short periods of time, then over long periods of time, your performance versus the peers looks very well. So again, we don't want a volatile portfolio. We want to ensure that it can weather storms, but at the same time, over long periods of time, provides top core returns. And with the guidance of the board, they've achieved that over long periods of time. 10-year returns are very good relative to peers. Yeah? So we have 10-year, 5-year, and the 10-year return of the portfolio is 7.3. The 5-year return is 7.6. Our assumed rate of return is 7.5. We generally have hit that 7.5% return over long periods of time. The median plan return for 10 years was 6.9, and strangely for 5 years it was 5.9. That's not a typo, it just kind of worked out that way. So, outperforming the median peer by 0.7%, and then 0.4% over the 10 and 5 year periods. So again, never wanting to really beat the benchmark and or the assumed rate of return or median peer managers by too much, but over long periods of time, if we can outperform by 25, 50 basis points, when you think about a plan that's $2.5 billion, that turns out to be $20 million every year. And so if you can gradually increase it, you can improve the health of the plan. Now, again, we've talked about this at the board, and you're never going to return your way out of underfunded liability that we have right now. Contributions from the city have to play a really big part in this. But again, the investment side of that equation is doing what we want it to and meeting objectives and actually performing above what I would say is our assumed, Yep. If you go to the next slide. So again, this, I didn't realize how small it would all be, but the punchline here, what I want to kind of highlight, and this is looking at numbers from our actuary. So it's talking about where our funded ratio is historically, and it's looking back over 3 years. So when we had projections from the actuary in 2023, 2024, and then today. And so if you look at those top bars across the top, they're showing what the needed contribution rate is going to be in order to get to 100% funded by 2045. And in 2023, that number was, you needed to jump it by 13% and or it was, what is it? Almost, a jump of 13%. That jump went to 8%, and then it's a little bit less than that at 5%. The funded ratio stayed at roughly 69% each of those years, but the point is the bottom. So the do-nothing scenario each year is improving dramatically as you go out into the future. So back in 2023, if we had done nothing else, kept the contribution rate where it was, it drops to 17% funded, so almost insolvent. You fast forward to the projection in 2024, that goes to 41% in the do-nothing, and then in 2025, the do-nothing now is 60%. So while that funded ratio of 68% doesn't seem like it's improving, the health of the system is improving as the city increases contribution rates, and the performance has been pretty well. So, yeah, I know, yeah. Well, and it's a confusing slide, but I definitely will make sure you guys can get. Okay, perfect, and I'll make sure you have it. The point there is just it is improving. It doesn't necessarily look like it is. So the overall health of the system is better. Sorry. Yep, they do. Yeah. The actuary, I think, puts it at 2.75% over a long period of time, 30 years. So, yeah. If you want to go to the next slide. So this is just kind of talking and getting away from the numbers, kind of what we've accomplished and the goals that we're looking to accomplish. We are going to have a healthcare survey put out this year. We did this in 2023. I hope you all can look for it, fill it out. It's very helpful for us on staff. It's very helpful for us when we work with our healthcare consultant as well as our healthcare providers. A good example of this is, I think, from the survey in 2023. There was talk about a second tiered option in the dental that was provided. We incorporated that when we did the RFP last year to ensure that there was a second option or a pay-up option. So that type of feedback is very much welcomed. It's very, very helpful. It helps us to work with our vendors, kind of talk to them about what our members are experiencing and kind of what they'd like to see in the future. So please look for that healthcare survey that hopefully come out in the next few months and fill it out. 2024, we got the healthcare funding policy finalized. Tom alluded to the fact that maybe we can get the pension funding policy finalized this year. We added a members counselor position last year. Unfortunately, we've had to shuffle the deck a little bit, so we're looking to refill that position this year. We will, but again, that is our commitment to ensure we have somebody that's there and available, a point person to make sure we're actively communicating and really trying to build up that customer service. We'll plan to put on our website, and hopefully the city improves its website. I know the retirement website's a little busy and chaotic, but yeah. I'll have to find out. I don't know for sure. I mean, I hope so, but just because if you have an option. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense for me. I think the way we did it last time was anybody that's eligible for healthcare gets it, but I don't know that off the top of my head, so I'll have to check. Yeah. So member handbooks will publish to our website. Again, we're in a similar mindset that CMERA is, in the sense that we want to clean up our website. We understand there's a lot of information on there, but there's a lot of hopefully helpful information, and this will be one of them. As far as the new handbooks is, kind of a one-stop shopping to all your benefits and kind of how to navigate your benefits and work with us or contact us. So look for that on the website soon. Again, we'll continue to kind of promote what we consider education through the last few bullet points on there. And then lastly, the member direct portal that was mentioned before. This is very helpful information for you guys. Again, we'll continue to work with this. Please reach out with any feedback you have on the member direct, like what you like to see, what you wouldn't like to see, hopefully to getting that to where it's just easier to navigate, more efficient for you, allows you to hopefully fill out documents and submit them through the portal, as well as you can always drop them off directly. But I think that's the last slide I have. There might be one more, the website, yep. So again, I mentioned this, but just we are looking to update that, but please visit the website. We will hopefully continue to make that a little cleaner and easy to navigate for everybody. But that's all the comments I had for you guys. I really appreciate, again, the opportunity to present here today. I've been the director for 2 years. I apologize that this is the first meeting I've been to. It just hasn't worked out, but I hope I can continue to come back, on an annual basis and just give a State of the Union address like this. So thank you.
Thank you very much, John.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna open the meeting up to for questions, and I guess who's gonna be the so if you can wait a few minutes, we'll have the questions, and then The final act will be okay, Steve will go around with the microphone so we can make sure everything is recorded. John's slides I will post on the website sometime next week on CMERA's website, so it'll be there probably under member information or something like that, but it will be posted. So, right. So, any questions?
Please make, till I get to you, because we are recording this, and we want to make sure it picks up on the recording.
Is there a way to access the retirement portfolio from your home?
The best way probably if you wanted to dive into the investments and the holdings is on the retirement website. There's information under investments, and then you'll find it for consultant reports. So our investment consultant is Marquette Associates, and we post the reports that we get quarterly, and it'll give you a lot of detail on the investments we hold.
Yeah, you mentioned the cost of the mailing. Have they ever considered maybe instead of the mailing, just the information on it, on a email, using email instead of mailing? And I would assume that would save a lot of money.
Oh, it would save money, but a lot of people, you still don't.
Well, even though a lot of people, like you're saying, do not have an email address or anything like that, those people could be
Ron,
considered to receive the mailing. However, the rest of the people, you would save the cost in the
Sure.
mailing.
There's no doubt it would save cost because there's no postage. However, it's been our position that the members who pay dues should receive certain services over and above those who do not pay dues. We have both, active members are those who pay dues, $10 a year. It's not a big amount. And because of that, they will get a mailed newsletter, okay? If you don't pay your dues, you may get the newsletter for like a year or so after your expiration date, but then we cut you off. And so you will no longer get a newsletter. So we consider that something that we give only to the active members. And that's why we don't do it yet. So it's a bonus for those people who pay. You got to get something, other than donuts, you got to get something for your $10. I mean,
It's a question for John. Do you have any influence at all to get the city to increase their contribution rates?
Yeah, I think we all, meaning the board and myself, try to actively work with council members, the mayor, as well as the administration on what the state of the plan is. I said, even before I joined a couple years ago, the work bill and everybody's done to make sure that the council members and the staff, meaning administration, are aware of the funding crisis, I think is why we're at where we are today. The big risk I see with a lot of pension plans is when administration and council and the mayor aren't looking at the problem. Now, they might not do everything we want them to do, and they might not be doing it as quickly as they're doing it, but the fact that they're engaged in looking at the problem, I think is more important than what they're doing, because as soon as they stop paying attention is when things can really fall apart, and then you're just yelling into the void, really. But so I think everybody listens to us at this point. They're working actively to make sure they, marry the needs of the taxpayer versus what Bill and I have as far as our fiduciary responsibility to the members. Sometimes those don't always come together, but we try our best to make sure we get to a place that's good for everybody.
I'd also like to add that, John has a say. I mean, he can tell city council what's best for the system and so forth. We also can do that. We also can put pressure on city council by writing, by showing up at committee hearings for budgets that affect our pensions. So when that happens, that's why we send out notices sometimes when the city's going to meet on a budget issue. they need to know that, yes, we are out here, we are the retirees, we're the ones that used to work. We used to, patch the holes, clean the streets, fix the, and so forth. So we do have a part that we can influence with how they say. I think so. So I think that's an important role that we all play. And, even sending them an email. Doesn't have to be, appearance, but anything like that, they may not listen to one person, they may not listen to two, but you get 75, 100 people. Someone's going to listen somewhere, so.
Hi. When we do address them, I think it would be important to say that we are one of over 6,000 retirees. I'm guessing, and we probably know the real answer, 80% of us still live in this area. We still have votes. And many council members lose their seat on council because of lack of less than 6,000 votes. It's 4,000 or so. So that might just.
Good point.
I just had a question. Where do I find the member direct portal that was mentioned?
Oh, I think there's a link. If you go to the City of Cincinnati website, the Retirement Division, I believe they have a link on there where you can sign up.
Okay. You have to sign up. You have to sign up.
Yeah, you sign up, you get a you put in, password and name and password, and you get your own account, just like anything else, so.
Okay.
Then you can sign in and out anytime you want after that, so, but it is, certainly available, yeah.
It was also available in the newsletter, Congressman sent out. The last newsletter received, it was there. Probably when the next newsletter comes out as well. I think it was on our newsletter too.
I think it was, yes.
So there's never an opportunity to see it. Website, newsletter from the CRS, as well as our newsletter.
And if you still can't find it, shoot, send us an email and we'll send the link to you directly, so. Yeah, we were thinking about an airplane with a flyer in the back flying around, but listen, we're working on that. We can get some information from the city, but like names. We know some people who have retired, but because of legal problems or legal issues, the city at this time will not allow us to collect like personal information, addresses and so forth. But we are looking at other ways of using, of getting, contacting these people through maybe a flyer that we can or put a poster in the retirement office, something like that, to make them aware that we do exist and we're still here and we've been here since 1980. So we're looking at a couple different options, and that's one of our goals for this year. And we're looking at a new plan right now, so we'll see what happens. I'm keeping my fingers crossed on a plan that John and I discussed briefly this morning, so we'll see what happens. But if you have any ideas, we're more than willing to take a look at it. But did you sign up for the member portal or the?
Probably best just to reach out to the office, our office directly. We'll figure out what's happening. So.
No.
That is correct. It shouldn't just stop. So hopefully we can fix it pretty quickly for you.
Correct. I unfortunately have a recent situation where what happens when someone goes into a hospice care, Medicare kicks in. And everything, once they declare and you sign a paper saying you are now under hospice care, everything gets billed to Medicare. Nothing gets billed to Anthem at that point. So Medicare takes over completely at that point. I don't know why, I just know, you know. Yeah, you don't, as I said, I just know that everything from the day you sign up the day you sign up for hospice care, anything that, you know, medicines, nurses, home, you know, equipment, it all gets billed to Medicare. And so nothing gets billed, and that's, yeah.
Wouldn't our person be getting Medicare for our plan? It's Medicare Advantage plan.
It was my spouse, okay? So she was covered under the city retirement plan and so forth. So, I mean, was she paying Medicare? Yeah, I'm assuming she was. Yeah, I'm sure it came out of her check. But anyway, that's how it's done. I know that. So.
If you call our office, we might be able to dive deeper into that to fully understand. We have two people really dedicated to healthcare, Brendan McMahon and Renee. So either one of them can help. But if you just ask for Brendan McMahon. Brendan McMahon. Sorry, Kathy. But we should be able to help with more specific details on how that billing is working.
When we changed from having Medicare and Anthem to the Medicare Advantage plan, the retirement office had a presentation done for us explaining the differences, what was going to change and stuff, and how the medical process worked. And at that presentation, it did mention to those who attended then that once you got into a hospice kind of situation, Medicare would then take over and the Advantage component would drop. But I'm not sure what happens with the Anthem component of the thing now. Come to think of it, does Anthem do anything for us or not? Those are the kind of things I think we need to probably ask the question, and maybe something, either have a presentation to retirees, because there was a small group then, and our group of retirees are much larger now, and maybe have a update on what's going on around that stuff, and any kind of potential changes that may have occurred that we can be made aware of. Possibly, John, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, in my case, I went through, you know, Hospice of Cincinnati, and everything from that point, they took care of all the billing. Anthem was never contacted. They had nothing, as far as I can tell, they had no hands in it whatsoever. The hospice people billed everything directly to Medicare.
Yeah, and Tom, to your point, I more than welcome the opportunity to come back and have Brendan come in and present those changes. We don't have to wait for the next meeting here. We could always try to schedule something else, but it's probably overdue to kind of talk about the state of the world within healthcare, because it seems like it changes a lot year to year. So those two individuals are very much on top of it, though, on my staff. So.
With the coverage that our plan had, it saved us thousands of dollars with just the $1,500 out-of-pocket expenses that we are responsible for. So however we did that, kudos to whoever worked on the policy.
And the healthcare fund is healthy. Any final questions before we award the Kroger's gift certificate? I know you're all anxiously waiting. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This is not a question. This is to explain something that Steve talked about in the windfall. I worked in private industry, but I didn't have enough quarter credits to get any Social Security. So, 65, we went up, talked to Social Security people. They said, I don't get anything. My wife then afterwards retired. With the windfall, I honestly didn't think that I should get anything. I didn't have any enough quarter credits. It turns out that I did get half of my wife's retirement, Social Security retirement. It amounted to over $12,000. I got a lump sum of that, and then I'll get $1,000 each year. But the main thing for us is that every quarter I used to have to pay Medicare every quarter, and now it'll come out of that $12,000. So an additional bonus, as far as I'm concerned, with the windfall is I no longer have to write that check out for Medicare. So kind of keep that in mind. It's an actual bonus for not having to write a check out for Medicare if you do that now. And if you think you shouldn't get anything from Social Security under the windfall, you probably do, as long as you have a spouse who collects Social Security. Just wanted to let everybody know. Yeah, I have a question. After I retired from the city, I did work outside for a while, and I did get enough credits to get Social Security. It wasn't much. But when I got it, they told me that the wife was not entitled to anything, and very little. I don't even get anything from Social Security. They keep it to pay my Medicare at the end of the year, and then they tell me how much more I owe. So I don't know if that affects me in any way or not.
I suppose it depends if your Social Security was being impacted by WEP. My guess is that it should be recalculated. Would be my guess, and I would contact Social Security if you haven't, since
It might affect you a whole lot, because if you were earning not a whole bunch of money from Social Security, the first part of the elimination, they reduced from 90% down to 40%. So you may get Oh yeah. Well, so they do the easy ones automatically. Your question, what you've got, I don't, I would think they might have, but if they haven't, it's sure worth a phone call.
Social Security Administration is undergoing some changes,
January,
personnel-wise. So it's
when they signed the Fairness Act. Yeah.
We did all what I talked about with all. We did all that on the phone, and it was done. It took 10 minutes. So call them first. We didn't have to go. Thank you.
How long did you have to wait to? No, like to schedule the appointment to talk to them? Okay. Well, that's really nice.
okay. Well, let's go ahead and highlight of the day. Good morning. You want me to draw? No, I don't have a ticket, so I can't leave. Okay, we got 2 tickets here. right, let's see, we'll read off the serial number. Let's see. First one is 698039. 698039. We got a winner? 39 at the end, yeah? Okay, we got one winner. The second winning ticket is 698048. 698048. Got another winner. Are you sitting next to each other? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I should do this. No, we do. Okay. Okay, well, all right, I think that's it. All the Miranda and Kroger gift certificates. Yeah, I got the certificates in my group. You want to come up and get your gift certificates? We will be glad to get them for you. So, all right, thank you all for being here this morning. Just two reminders. One is that we'll have a motion to adjourn, and that the next meeting will be the second Saturday in October. Back here. So we have a motion. All right, it's unanimous. Meeting's adjourned.